Oh, this certainly isn't where we left off last time. I wonder where we are.
I keep having this dream. I'm running through town. I don't know if I'm running away from something, or if I'm running to something. Then I see it. My house. I have to get to the house. They're in there, waiting for me. And that's when I wake up.
Now's not the time for a poor man to walk here alone. Have you got a screw loose? Let me see that blood. Bites? Bites? Any bites?
It's not mine.
It's just as a precaution. Precaution. You know what happens.
Don't come any closer.
It's fine, it's fine. The rat knows. The rat smells it.
Don't touch me. Who the hell are you?
Let's go, this place isn't safe. Follow me.
And welcome to the second act of Deadlight. We find ourselves in video gaming's favorite locale, the sewer. Now it seems we've made a brand new friend, the rat. It also seems as if the rat has stripped us of all of our weapons.
I'm surrounded by shadows, and the rat kept all my weapons.
Thankfully, though, there are plenty of these traps laying around that we can use to take care of these shadows fairly quickly. But we do have to be careful as they are equally dangerous to Randy.
A homemade trap. It has a similar mechanism to the poacher's traps that I used to find in Hope's forests.
I have no manners. Welcome. I'm Harold the Rat, and this is my labyrinth. Don't believe your eyes. Even if you don't know where I am, call me when you need me. Follow my directions until the end. You have to earn the right to finish. And be careful with my creations. They will kill you if you're not smart, Mr. Wade.
So Harold the Rat has set up quite a labyrinth down here in the sewers. He has quite a few varieties of traps to use. Some crushing, some smashing, some cutting. And we're going to have to use our smarts to try to get around them. Thankfully, he'll be apparently waiting in the shadows to guide us if we ever need his assistance.
How the hell do you know my name?
The rat knows everything. The rat smells everything from down here. I will unravel the mysteries of this land.
Now, while for the most part sewers are pretty much frowned upon for their repetition in games, this one is at least somewhat interesting, though it does feel kind of forced as it is pretty much an obstacle course rather than the destruction that we saw outside that we had to get around. This just seems like I said, an obstacle course. It just seems overly forced. Not to say that there isn't still some interesting backgrounds and some nice set pieces. It just seems a bit off.
No time for questions. There's no time for answers.
What about you? Why aren't you coming with me?
Rats always have their own paths.
Especially with the addition of this crazed hobo here that seems to have some mystical intelligence going on.
Come on!
But while this may look fairly imposing, it has a very simple solution, and that is just to run. It's actually pretty much the only way I found to get through that particular set of traps. And you actually do get an achievement for running through all 4 of those without getting killed. We also find on the dead body down here another secret item. And it is the ID for Jeffrey Dahmer, who some of you may remember from the 90s as a serial killing cannibal. But this is where the traps become even more nefarious and devious. If you're just running as fast as you can, more than likely you're going to jump directly into that other swinging trap and, well, you'll die. So we get a look in the future here. You can kind of know something hanging off the foot of that dead body down there.
Quick, you're doing very well. Follow the directions. They'll take you to the end.
Come on!
You may notice also on the wall back there where it says Virgil will be your guide. And that's in reference to Dante's Divine Comedy, where Dante was being led around by the angel Virgil. The poems that we've actually been collecting over the course of the game have actually been from Dante's Divine Comedy. We now find that on the dead body is a slingshot. Not really a weapon per se, but we will be using it to solve a few puzzles here and there. And pretty much immediately we will be getting a use for it as we head back up here. You may notice that X mark thing up on top there. If we shoot that, it's actually another one of the rat's triggers. Allows us to continue forward.
Did you save my life just to kill me? Is this some kind of test?
You're doing very well, my friend. Not everyone gets this far. It's always difficult to stay on your feet and stay alive. Even more so these days.
Wait! I need to find my friends. One of them was murdered on the way to the safe point.
Here we also find that occasionally we do get the opportunity to use the slingshot to dislodge things. Can be a bit hard to see the coloring on it, but there is a piece of wood sticking out there that we can dislodge with the slingshot. And yes, if you are standing underneath that, it will instantly crush and kill you. Don't ask how I know that.
Walls are full of paintings. They look like symbols to navigate through the labyrinth.
Yeah, you may see them occasionally back there, little jagged squiggles and things like that, used to indicate the forthcoming Punji-esque traps. Not that they're ever really that helpful. Usually you just have to rely on your reflexes. So it may be a bit hard to see, but we have a little hidden nook up here with another hidden away item. Appears to be a rat bone necklace, possibly made from Harold the Rat. Or made by Harold the Rat, not really from him. But it just gets trickier and trickier. You have to make sure and roll there, otherwise you will die. And even occasionally rolling, you will still die there. That was one of the more finicky parts when I first played through the game.
The crazy old man is playing with me.
And nothing overly complicated in this room. It's just keeping an eye out for these targetable trash can lids, I assume them to be.
More of those strange symbols.
And this particular set of crushing traps is especially tricky, mostly just, well, you don't really know how to approach it until you realize that first set, or that first crusher, actually has a small delay on it. Second one, you merely just have to crawl out just a little bit to get it to trigger, but otherwise, well, just trial and error to get that down. I do really like the size and scale going on in the background. It really makes the sewer seem, well, nigh on monstrous.
Back outside. Right now? No, Mr. Wayne. Now is not the time. Here!
And it still seems like Harold's trying to teach us something, or just put us through the ropes, or the riggers, or the horrible death traps he set up. Also, you may notice that screen occasionally. That's just me double checking to make sure I've gotten all the collectibles.
You did it, Mr. Wayne.
Are you happy now, you crazy old man?
It's been a long time. A very long time the rat's been living down here. Even before the epidemic, you could smell what was going to happen. The rats smelled it. Them, the rats, they were already fleeing, you know? Come with me. It's safe here. When times change, men must change, Mr. Wayne. The rat knew the world would end sooner or later, so I built my hideaway here. The evil cat will never look for a live rat in a rat trap. Make yourself at home, and don't worry about the smell. Rest now. Take what you need.
Why the hell have you brought me here, crazy old man?
He should have been back by now. The rat has a son. He can leave. The outside doesn't burn him. He should have been back by now. He should have been back. I know where he is. He likes to go back to what used to be his home, but now it's nothing more than a pile of ash. The rat smells the danger. You could help me. You could look for it, right, Mr. Wayne?
I already told you I need to find my friends.
Help the rat, and the rat can help you, Mr. Wayne. The rat hears many things. He can find where your friends are, maybe even your family. Find my son before these men do, and you will know what the rat knows.
An eye for an eye, right? That's fine. I have a debt to pay you for saving my life.
Take what you need before you continue. Are you hungry, Mr. Wayne? Would you like me to prepare you a little rat meat?
No, thanks. After all of this, I don't have much of an appetite.
So it seems we have finally found our way into the rat's inner sanctum here. We also get our quest for the second half of stage or act 2, which is to try and help the rat find his son. Also hidden away in this secret room is a rather nasty secret. We have to hit that box with our slingshot. And inside we find a very interesting secret. Was the Congressional Medal of Honor. Seems that the old man is actually a war vet.
When one world dies, another becomes the place where life comes back again.
Too many books in your head can make you sick, you know that, old man?
Might explain in some part how he's been able to survive down here and survive the end of the world. And in this secret away hidden room, we do find a picture of the rat's son. Hopefully we'll be able to help us identify him whenever we run across him.
How long has it been since you looked outside, Mr. Wayne, to make order out of chaos? Well, I must tell you, if that's what they do, chaos is winning by a mile.
I will have to agree with that, but I don't really agree with the rat's living conditions down here. I almost would feel better up top just trying to survive up there, rather than hiding away in the sewers.
Down here life will begin, below the circles of hell, below the moving plague of death. Within the labyrinth, paradise will be reborn. But that will be the future, Mr. Wayne.
At least the old man knew how to build himself a place where he would be safe.
And even though the text was cut off there by Randall's dialogue, that picture actually mentioned, well, it had a text written on it referencing Da Nang in '69, so I'm assuming that Harold is a Vietnam vet. I guess that would explain all the guerrilla-esque traps we've been seeing around. Maybe he learned it from the Viet Cong. But I will say at least the rat decided not to have any punji traps or instant death traps sitting around in his home. Sadly though, he did decide to leave in a number of block pushing puzzles, which really is just not good architecture at all. Also find in another hidden away room here, I guess inspiration that Harold had for his 9 circles of hell down here. I don't know if they're really that close to Dante's Divine Comedy. I seem to don't remember so many sewers in the comedy. But the main purpose for bringing this box along with us, outside of using it as an elevated platform, is inevitably to drop it on that lower platform there as something of a counterweight.
If you need my help, you just need to call me, Mr. Wayne. I will help you stay on the path through my personal help. Here it is. Take a look at the photograph. It won't be difficult to recognize the son of the rat, but be careful with the other men. The living are just as dangerous as the dead.
So we are actually almost all the way out of the sewer now. We are at the subway access.
These drawings are different from the previous ones. They describe the bombings that affected the city at the beginning of the epidemic.
Well, that is quite interesting. It makes one wonder if the bombs were what caused the shadows or if it was something else. Maybe the bombs were just in some defense against, well, the ensuing hordes, or, well, maybe there was some kind of biological warfare going on. This is definitely where we're going to be needing to keep our eyes open for those targets. They will become harder and harder to see, especially with the camera pulled out as far away as it is. And it looks like we have another brand new trap.
These traps look like they've been designed to protect against the dead and the living.
Those especially definitely remind me of Prince of Persia.
When the epidemic spread to Seattle, the people made a stand, tried to fight. Many died, and then returned to consume the few that didn't. Then the military tried to fight back at the shadows. Look around and see how that ended.
And before we continue on, we have yet another collectible. This ID is for a Kenneth Bonacci. He was one half of the murderers known as the Hillside Stranglers. Murdered quite a few young girls, I think in the late 70s or maybe mid 80s.
And what about these soldiers? The new law?
I told you, when times change, men must change. We all make choices, Mr. Wayne. In chaos, some choose to show the best sides of themselves. Others, the worst. You must hurry. I worry for the safety of my son. And the ones you care for, too.
So before we continue on, the, well, good-eyed viewer may notice that switch up there. This is actually going to lead to a very useful and yet kind of dangerous secret. You can actually get knocked off by that pipe right there. I did die to that originally. But over here we do find our health upgrade for this particular chapter. Now we have up to 5 shots we can take. And as to be expected, on the return journey, we're going to pull off a similar trick of, well, hanging off the platform at the proper spots. It can be a bit sometimes hard to discern with the 2.5D which is in the foreground and what is in the background. And you'll notice on the back wall there we have even more slicing traps, but this time we had to roll under one of them. So you see there on the far wall we have a rather elevated platform that we're not going to be able to get to. But as one would assume, we do have another secret down here. Actually another page from Dante's Inferno, I'm assuming. And in this waterlogged room, we find a movable crate. The one difficulty here is just kind of eyeballing the distance, because you don't want that crate too far away. I actually get mildly lucky there. I was almost assuming I was going to drown, but somehow or another I was able to survive.
Innocent people who tried to look for a safe place during the Great War against the Shadows. They were crushed to death by a landslide caused by bombing.
And while the landslides and bombings in Great War all seem pretty atrocious, it does still make me wonder why there's so many of these. They almost look like torture cages and hanging corpses everywhere. I just want to assume that is directly all, well, due to Harold. So we'll just unblock this one piece of machinery, but that's actually not the end. There is another thing to unwedge.
Follow this path going up to the old subway station. When you get to the outside, look for the house that grows in the tree. Find my son before those men do, and I'll help you find the ones you care for.
I don't know why it wouldn't have been so difficult to just say treehouse.
Activate the platform now.
But with that second wheel unlocked, we now have our little puzzle or mechanism here figured out. The one thing to keep in mind, as can be assumed, is that we are going to have to be running at full pace here. And that will allow us to just barely make it.
We all make choices. He chose to build a nest down here, in the aftermath of the war. Some might call it survival. Others, denial.
And that is actually a pretty good point, Randy. I mean, is it really worth living down here in all the squalor and dead bodies and just trap-filled corridors?
Come on!
But I found the best way to deal with this particular situation is just to try to, well, corral all these shadows down here since they can't crawl up. It is kind of inconvenient that Harold took away all of our weapons and decided not to give them back to us. So with the shadows now evaded, it's just a simple measure of pulling the box over, climbing up the ladder, and we will actually finally find ourselves out of the sewer.
House that grows in the tree. Those were the rat's words.
Yep, and we will find that out next time on Deadlight.